And good morning, good Thursday morning on this 06.06.2024. Current time is 08:31 a.m. Eastern Time here in upstate New York, the southern tier of upstate New York where I live and reside. And we have an historical event going on, as you can see from the picture. IFT-4 flight test launch of SpaceX Starship, the fourth launch here, very historical, the most powerful rocket on this earth, ready to launch for a fourth time. So this is very historic, and I decided to come up. We are somewhat at T-minus 17 minutes. And we're going to be going to the SpaceX feed. They're online right now, and we did have a historical launch yesterday of the Starliner. Boeing Starliner launched. Got some news this morning. They have a couple helium leaks. I'm not sure what that's going to do to the mission. They are still scheduled to dock at the ISS, the International Space Station, later today. We broadcast that one yesterday here on Rumble, as well as on Twitch, and we're on Locals, Twitch, Facebook, X Live. I think we're on Instagram, but I think I did the same thing I did yesterday. Let me check real quick here. But we'll go to the feed here in just a minute, and we're going to be watching the launch and the events afterwards here to see what we have. And I don't think I got the Instagram because I started it before I started the live stream. So let's see. Well, I want to say good morning to you. I got the podcast done early this morning. And no, it looks like we're not on it. Oh, yes, we are on Instagram. Okay, so we are on Instagram. Let's see how that looks. Let's see. So I guess I caught it. So we are on Instagram. Okay, we're on Instagram. That's good. So we're going to leave that up there, and we're going to go to the. We're going to be going to the. SpaceX feed, and I will be popping in and out as we start the broadcast here. And I want to say a hearty good morning. I do have a second cup of coffee here. Had first cup before taking a walk this morning. And I have nobody online other than we got two people over on Twitch. And let's get to the broadcast here, or to get to the stream. Let's see. How's that look? There we go. There sits on the pad. We're at 15 minutes and counting on the launch, historical launch, as far as that goes. And let's see. Let's see if I just. Okay, that works. There's the ship. It's all getting fueled up, and let's listen to the folks at SpaceX.
Together with Axiom and NASA, our teams put 2 astronauts in pressurized Axiom spacesuits and practiced the first steps of going to the lunar surface. The team used test builds of a Starship airlock, as you see there, and elevator to gather data on how well future Artemis astronauts will be able to move around once fully suited. Tests like this are incredibly helpful for engineers designing these systems, as they have the opportunity to get feedback directly from experienced astronauts Peggy Whitson, who is on the right of this photo, and Doug Wheelock, who's on the left. You can see them in action during this elevator test.
SpaceX will perform one uncrewed demonstration flight before NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will be the first human surface expedition since 1972. After those first expeditions, we'll be ready to fly more people along with everything it takes to build a moon base. In many ways, Artemis feels like an extension of the human spaceflight work SpaceX and NASA have been partnering on for some time now. In fact, we just celebrated the anniversary of the Demo 2 mission.
That's right. Just 4 years ago, on May 30th, 2020, SpaceX launched the first crewed test flight of our Crew Dragon spacecraft. Dragon carried NASA astronauts Douglas Hurley and Robert Behnken to the International Space Station in the first crewed orbital spaceflight launch from the United States since the final Space Shuttle mission in 2011, and the first ever operated by a commercial provider. You can see Bob and Doug there on your screen. That was certainly a memorable day for all of us here at SpaceX, one that we fondly think back on. And it's exciting to think about Starship being the next to take its first astronauts to the moon. In tandem with Starship development, all of our operational human spaceflight missions are helping us prepare for those future trips to the moon. Our upcoming private astronaut mission, Polaris Dawn, you can see the crew there on your screen. They will play a big role in testing procedures that will be relevant to our moon and eventually Mars missions. We're looking forward to the third Polaris Dawn mission, which will be the first crewed Starship flight.
The Polaris Dawn crew will attempt to reach the highest apogee ever flown by a spacecraft, and they'll also be performing a spacewalk or extravehicular activity wearing SpaceX's newly designed spacesuits. They'll also be testing space-based communications, which will be critical to future deep space missions. The Polaris Dawn mission is currently targeted to launch no earlier than July of this year, so stay tuned because that is going to be a very exciting mission to watch. In the meantime, at T-minus 12 minutes, let's check back in with Dan on today's countdown.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. Everything continues to go real smoothly. It's been a real quiet day so far. The board looks really clean, not tracking any impediments to a launch, just under 12 minutes. Numbers real quick, we're about 85% full on the ship. We did pause to start filling those header tanks on ship. Again, those are the two smaller tanks in the very top of the nose cone that we're going to use for that attempted landing burn with ship. And with the booster, we're just at about 75, 76% or so on our methane and LOX, so getting pretty full there. Those are going to continue down to about 3 minutes and 20 seconds before liftoff. That's when we'll close out all the prop on the ship. And then T-minus 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the booster. A lot of work also going on in the background. Our range safety teams working to make sure the area, not just around the pad, but in the sea space out in the Gulf, and also in the before launch. Everything looking good for Starship's fourth test flight. It's a back to you guys in Hawthorne, clear as we really count down. But that's the latest. We're just coming up on 10 minutes before launch. Everything looking good for Starship's third test flight. It's also back to you guys in Hawthorne.
Great, thanks, Dan. Now, if you've been following SpaceX over the years, you've no doubt heard us talk about our goal of full and rapid reusability. Nearly all of the Falcon boosters flown last year and this year have been reused, or as we like to say, flight proven.
We've landed Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy boosters 283 times since first doing so in 2015. And with Starship, our mission is to take reusability even further by reflying both stages with little downtime between flights. And we plan to fly as often as possible. As we mentioned earlier, rapid and complete reusability is critical to enabling routine spaceflight. The team at Starbase has been hard at work developing and manufacturing the hardware that will ultimately take humans back and forth to the moon and Mars.
Now, even though we are not recovering Starship today, test flights like these provide the critical data that we need through every phase of flight. And that data informs future missions and gets us to that future where Starships are being recovered and rapidly reflown.
Our teams are also working on the ground systems that will support rapid reusability. When we start recovering Starship boosters, we'll want them to return to the launch site for a quicker turnaround, as you can see here depicted in this animation on your screen. This is when the tower reveals its dual purpose. After launch, the arms or the chopsticks on the tower will help guide the booster into position to ensure a soft landing. Now, if you're thinking that this sounds hard or even impossible to do, well, that's the inspiration for naming them chopsticks. Some of you might recall a little film called The Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi famously taught the main character, Daniel, that if he could catch a fly with chopsticks, he could accomplish anything.
Now, today we do have 4 ships and 4 Super Heavy boosters built, with more coming off the production line as our Star Factory continues to grow. These vehicles are slated for future flight tests just like today's. And in fact, just this week, we static fired our next ship that's planning to fly and expect to test the booster as soon as the launch mount is free from today's flight test.
Now, as a reminder, today is still just a test. While we really hope to get our splashdown location in the Indian Ocean, but any data received will help us improve. It's the 4th of many future flight tests for Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And that's the goal of flight tests. They teach us about the limits of our design and improve our understanding of the vehicle, and ultimately help us make Starship more reliable and rapidly reusable. So whatever the outcome and however far we get, we can promise excitement. And things look like they are moving fast at Starbase, and that's exactly how we like it.
Yeah,
Rapid
exactly.
Iteration is a key of SpaceX.
Yeah, we've done it with all of our major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon, and Starlink. We believe that if you're not failing, you're not learning and improving the design.
Yeah, many of the innovations that we've developed have come from our failures, and they teach us how to avoid the perils of spaceflight. It's a tough business. But all of this testing, all of the iterative design allows us to make the design better and better to do some of the great accomplishments with reflight that we've had so far.
Originally, it was not designed to be reusable. We wanted to prove the initial design. And then when we brought Dragon 2 online, we had to do a lot of corrosion analysis based on flights that had splashed down and analysis on hardware received there. And now our Dragons are reusable and also rapidly at a much rapid pace than they used to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, great learnings from our original Dragon to our new crew and cargo vehicles have directly improved the operations, and they've helped us change our understanding of what's possible when it comes to rocket and spacecraft reusability. Now, we're just under T-minus 6 minutes, so I think it's another good time to check in with Dan for the rest of terminal count. How are we looking, Dan?
Thanks, Shiva. We're looking good. 5 minutes, 35 seconds, and we're counting down. We are just about at closing the prop load sequences on booster and ship. Just a reminder, ship, we're going to close out at around 3 minutes and 30 seconds, booster at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Once all of that prop is loaded on board, we'll have about 10 million pounds of propellant on both stages of Starship. Now, after that happens, we'll go through a couple of different procedures with the ground. We'll do what's called pushbacks, clearing out the lines between our prop farm and the vehicles themselves before we get to launch. And then in the next few minutes, we'll get the final guidance system alignments, some final thrust vector control on the booster checks, and all that will be performed. And again, if we need to hold, we have a hold gate built in at T-minus 40 seconds where we can hang out. It sounds like today we'll have about 15 minutes to hold at T-minus 40 if we need to. If we hit that right now, it looks like the most likely reason would be winds. We're not tracking any technical issues to our T0 at 8:25, just about 4.5 minutes from now. So, I mean, everything's really looking good. The booster's almost at full frosty, so we'll see that close out in just a couple of minutes. But we're getting really close to flight, guys.
The excitement is definitely growing here in Hawthorne, SpaceX headquarters. There is a large crowd gathering. You might hear them cheering occasionally. Now, Dan mentioned a good point about the holds. We have an opportunity to today hold for a few minutes. And this is a really cool thing about Starship, and we don't have this opportunity with Falcon or Falcon Heavy. Up until the T-minus 40 second point, Aborts are just holds. So anything that would trigger an abort prior to T-minus 40 seconds becomes a hold. So that's a really cool feature to allow the team to wait for final checkouts or assess prop levels, engines, avionics, vehicle pressurization. It's really helpful to ensure a liftoff.
Yeah, and that's something that is very different from Falcon. I'm sure people have watched our launches, and then we get right down past prop load and then have to scrub because of weather or scrub because of an issue on the vehicle. And we don't have the same constraints on our propellant and our system with Starship, which gives us more availability in the window. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes the winds dip just enough where you can launch the rocket safely. And otherwise, if you didn't have that ability to hold a few minutes, you might miss that window and then have to recycle to another day.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of like today. Like we mentioned earlier, winds are the thing that we are watching. So good news there. So we are still continuing to progress. We're looking at liftoff in just under almost 2.5 minutes from now. Super exciting. Like we said before, there's nothing more exciting than watching a test flight for a developmental program. And that's where we're at today.
And like we talked about, we have some really ambitious goals for today's test. But really the point of—
Scan the QR code and change your life. With this statement, I want to start the event celebrating the launch of the 4th Starship. No.
Will help improve our chances of success today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just as a reminder for the booster, now we are not attempting to recover any hardware today, both either on ship or booster. For the booster, we will be attempting to perform a landing burn to have a soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. We made some improvements from our Flight 3 learnings, so hopefully that will work and we'll see a successful soft splashdown. For the ship, we're hoping to demonstrate controlled re-entry, including a flip maneuver and landing burn, and that will be followed by splashdown in the Indian Ocean. That is the same target as we had on Flight 3, so everything should look pretty similar in that regard. And we just heard the call out there that all prop load is closed out. So at this point, there is like 10 million pounds of propellant on board Starship, which is incredible.
This is getting very exciting. We are just about 2 minutes away from T0.
And as Jesse just said, we are under 2 minutes away. So prop load is complete. All the fill drain lines into ship and booster have closed. Right now we're doing the pushback, so clearing out all those ground lines of propellant, and that'll be completed over the next couple of seconds. We're coming up on that T-minus 40 mark. Again, not planning to hold. If we do, or if we get a hold after we pass it, we can snap back to that T-minus 40, and then we can stay there for about 30 minutes or so if any other issues crop up. Once we pass T-minus 40, a lot of things happen, both on the vehicle and the ground. It's running a lot of its own self-checkouts, venting different tanks and pressure lines throughout the vehicle. We essentially built that 40 seconds as that's about how much time it takes for the vehicle to take all of those actions, which is why we hold there. But all of that happens automated. You do a final checkout of the TVC, the thrust vector control, how we're going to steer, and then we see liftoff. So we're under a minute away. "45 seconds and counting."
Good event, game it.
All right, now as we close in, we are past the 40-second mark. So let's listen in.
Flight director is
Ty Huntington's going to take us through one more time for a Starship liftoff.
T-minus 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have the top.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
All right, 30 seconds into flight. The rumbles are still building here in the Raptor's nest. We're seeing 32 out of 33 engines lit on the Super Heavy right now. Coming up shortly is going to be max Q, that maximum aerodynamic pressure as we go uphill on the vehicle.
Max Q.
All right, we just passed through max Q, so we're going to continue on up. We still have until we get to stage separation. Starship now flying faster than the speed of sound. All right, so you got a couple of views. You got some ground trackers in your top camera there. You're looking down from the top of the booster in the bottom left, and then a camera in the top flap of the ship looking back in the bottom right. So getting a couple of different looks as Starship heads uphill. Once we get the hot staging, a lot of things happen all at once simultaneously. We're going to light the engines on the ship, starting with the RVACs first, and then the 3 center sea level engines before we're separated. All of that exhaust gets plumed out the side of the hot stage, and then the ship will separate itself. All but the 3 center engines on the booster are going to shut down. So the booster never stops its thrust while we go through this hot stage maneuver. After that, the booster is going to do its flip, start heading back, and then the ship will be on its own power on its way to space. So that should be coming up in just about 30 seconds from now. As of right now, still looking in like 32 out of 33 Raptors lit on the booster. And we'll start to see those stagger down. They're going to turn off in banks. So you'll see the lights on the bottom left screen of the engines that are active start to turn off in different groups. And you'll see those 3 center ones lit.
Booster engine cut off. Ship ignition. Stage separation confirmed.
Boost back burn, start up.
Acquisition of signal. Houston.
Hot stage confirmed. Ship under its own power. Booster boosting back. Looks like all 13 are lit. Kate, we got a booster on the way back to the Gulf and a ship on the way to space.
Acquisition signal. Status.
Ship chamber pressures are nominal.
Ship power and telemetry nominal.
All right, the first stage currently performing the boost back burn. This is expected to last a little over 1 minute. This propels the booster back toward the coast, taking it to a landing in the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. As you can see on your screen in the bottom left-hand corner, we were only using the 13 center engines from here on.
Boost back burn shut down.
Heard confirmation there of good boost back burn shutdown.
H2 tank pressures are nominal.
Lots of excitement. So right here, this is our view of the jettisoned hot stage. As we mentioned, this is a temporary fix to help reduce the weight of the booster, the Super Heavy booster. Future iterations will have a lighter weight integrated hot stage structure that won't need to be jettisoned. Now, after we jettison that hot stage, the booster will begin to attempt its water landing in the Gulf. In the meantime, the ship will coast for about 40 minutes or so up to an altitude of 214 kilometers. And after its coast phase, it will attempt a controlled reentry, including a flip maneuver and a landing burn just before splashing down in the Indian Ocean. But as a reminder, we are not attempting...
Trajectory nominal.
Good news there. Trajectory is looking good for the ship, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. At this point in time, as you can see, we have no engines lit on the booster. It is coasting back toward the Gulf of Mexico for a water landing and ship under power of all 6 Raptor engines. There's 3 sea level, and 3 vacuum Raptor engines that are lit, as we can see on your screen.
These views have been looking incredible. Super Heavy has been performing beautifully today. And you can hear the crowd is very excited about it. As a reminder for Booster, the primary goal today is to do a landing burn and a splashdown in the water. And we are just about 30 seconds away from that landing burn expecting to begin. And an incredible view from the forward portion of the booster. This is basically on top of the Super Heavy booster where we have jettisoned that hot stage. So now we can see this incredible view of Earth as it's making its way back down to the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, the booster is using the 4 hypersonic grid fins to guide itself through atmospheric re-entry. And we are expecting that landing burn here. And we will be igniting 13 engines, and this is a great view. On your left-hand side is 3 views from the booster, and your right-hand side a view from the ship. And you can see those grid fins on your left-hand screen rotating and turning to guide the booster, and there's that landing burn. That landing burn just begun, and you can see the water below. And we have splashdown. What an incredible sight! Congratulations to the SpaceX team.
Ship has entered terminal guidance.
That was absolutely incredible. The first successful splashdown of the Super Heavy booster. Loved seeing it just tip over into the water before losing that footage. Now the next milestone is coming up in about under a minute. The ship is going to shut off its Raptor engines, which we see right there. As we mentioned before, today's test flight is not an orbital flight, but rather one that demonstrates the Starship's orbital capability. So right now we are under power with just the 3 center Raptor engines. Expecting those, and just there we could see that those have also successfully cut off.
FDS is saved.
What an incredible
Nominal orbit insertion.
Oh, there's great news there. The call out we were hoping to hear. Amazing views once again from Starship. We have our second Starship in space. These live views being brought to us by Starlink, which is on board the ship. Dan, what an incredible view we have once again. So exciting. We got another ship in space.
I'm like still jumping up and down. I'm like, this whole building was going absolutely insane when we saw the booster hit the water. I mean, wow. Congrats to everybody that's just been putting in insane amounts of hours on everything to make this thing a reality. And I feel like every single time we do one of these, we're seeing something wildly new. We got to see the hot stage jettison and the booster in the water. But just to recap real quick over everything that's happened. So we lifted off at 7:50 a.m. only 9 minutes ago. How has it only been 9 minutes? 7:50 a.m. Central at 12:50 UTC. We saw 32 of the 33 Raptor engines on Super Heavy make the ascent. We had successful cutoff,
Yeah, 10
successful
minutes
hot
into the
staging.
flight, I
All
gotta
6
interrupt.
engines on the
I
ship
am
powered it all the
overwhelmed.
way
This
into
is going
a
fantastic. compared to
nominal
the
orbital
previous,
trajectory.
Starship launches,
And we've already been
I
getting
am
some live
thoroughly
views
enjoying
from the
this.
ship on
I
board.
am very thankful for the
After that,
viewers we
the
have. We have
booster was able to
21,
do its boost back burn.
19
This
from
looks like
Rumble.
we're actually
Thank you,
getting some
Rumble.
views from the
You
ground
guys are
still,
fantastic. We have 3
potentially
over
from
on
Florida,
X.
of the ship as it's
Nobody
up
on
there.
Instagram, but we have a total of
Yeah, so that's
what
a
looks to
view
be
from
about
some of our
24,
tracking cameras on the ground
25
in Florida.
viewers. I
But
want
the
to say
ship,
thank you
we
for
just heard
watching this.
successful
I'm
orbital
sharing my
insertion, so
excitement.
it's
I
right
am a
where it
space
needs to
geek.
be, and is
I
now
can
going to
remember
continue
May
on its
5th,
way to coast
1961. I
until
was
it comes
just a
to
little
reentry.
lad
But I
when
mean,
Alan Shepard
the booster,
launched on a
successful
red
boost back
stone
burn,
rocket,
jettisoned the hot
Atlas.
stage, and then a landing burn. It looked like we
Ironically,
saw
yesterday
12
we
of the
had the
13
launch of
engines
the
light
first
up, and then that first ever
Atlas
soft
rocket.
splashdown in the water.
The
So
Starliner capsule.
a
The
whole
first
lot
time they
still to
launched the
come.
capsule
Ship
since
now
the
on
Mercury
its way to its primary objective
missions.
of entry.
So
That's going to
I'm
be
very
coming up
much into.
in just under 40 minutes from
I'm
now.
just
So
glad that
a lot still to come, but
time so
wow,
much.
what a 9
I'm
minutes to start
overjoyed
this mission off.
watching this. This
So
is exciting, folks.
can't
This
wait to
is,
see what
what
entry
it's
is
all
going to
about.
show us.
They
But
have to do these tests,
that launch
make sure
was
it's safe,
incredible.
and
Back
it's
over
never
to you,
safe,
Jesse
never
and Kate.
100%. Anything could go wrong. We're seeing today SpaceX
Wow.
is right with the Starship right here.
I am still trying to catch my breath here.
I am
That has been,
overwhelmed and
that was
excited
some
about
incredible
this.
views that we have never seen before.
Viewers
It has
who are
been
watching this live
nonstop
stream
since
right now,
liftoff. And with
say
the
thank
booster
you
having
to those,
completed its
at
job
this
for the
time,
day,
just,
we're
thank
going
you
to
to the,
take
the
a
people
short
that may be
break
watching this
for
on the
about the
replay,
next
but
28
I'm
minutes,
just,
and we'll return
overexcited
while
to
we,
being able
we're
to
going to take a
share
break while the
my
ship is
because normally I just be
continuing
watching
to
this on
coast
the big screen.
before
But here I
re-entry.
can share it out here
Exactly.
with others that are watching
As
at
with
the same
Flight
time.
3, Starlink
And
may enable us to
if
talk with the
the
ship
video
through
seems a little
re-entry
lagged on
with no
Rumble, you might want to
communication blackout.
refresh and now
We
catch
are
up.
still
I found
testing
that
Starlink
you watch
during
it on
this
the
phase of
browser or
flight,
live
so of
stream,
course nothing
and
is
it
certain.
seems like it's
However,
they're
if we do
multicasting
have views,
other,
we will be sure to bring those to you
platform,
live.
and that seems
Views
a little
such as
bad.
the
You might
one
want to refresh your
that
browser
we
and stuff. We had a
well, of course, because I said it, it went away.
Let's see
So
what's happening
we will try to bring those to you live.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and splashdown.
Expected loss signal, Key West. Expected loss signal, Cape Canaveral.
Okay, it seems like we've lost signal. Go ahead and wait. Where are we at? We're 35 minutes into the broadcast here, but we're 13 minutes into the flight, and so I'm not sure what's going on here as far as
Acquisition signal, Puerto Rico.
we're trying to acquire the signal. And we're waiting.
Our back pre-valves are open.
That put in. I'm almost thinking something happened. So let's go ahead and while we're waiting, we can do something here. We can. I'll keep an eye on the feed here, but there's something we can do right now, seeing that we have enough viewers here for me to be able to do this. And what that entails is here on Rumble. I used to let's see. Let's go ahead and set the timer on this. Let's see. Did we get that? Okay, we'll go ahead and run. I think I did it enough times to where. Let's see. They're still trying to acquisition. But we're going to go ahead and do this as far as I did. Yeah, I hit accept and start. Okay, we accepted and start several times. But I did this yesterday, and this is a good opportunity while we wait for the acquisition, acquiring of the signal. My name is Rich Roberts, at Fireman Rich, and I want to encourage you, the audience, to go ahead and download the Rumble app. Rumble Studios I'm on, but I use the Rumble app. There's two Rumbles apps. There's the regular app, and then there's Rumble Studio app. So I encourage you to download the Rumble app so that you can get notifications of me broadcasting, okay, on your cell phone, your smartphone. And be sure to let I want to just remind you that when I go live, such as this, you get notifications. So that's the good thing, because if I come online, I got good stuff to talk about, and we got good stuff to talk about with SpaceX here. So you can download in iOS or Android on the Google Play Store or the Apple iTunes Store. The app, Rumble app. Just type in Rumble and you'll find it there. And it has a full description. I've been using it for a number of years since I've gotten on Rumble, original app, and now the Rumble Studio app. I'm using it right now, matter of fact, as far as that goes. This is the Rumble Studio app right here. Shows you right there. I'm actually using the Rumble Studio. They have just a viewer and a recorder app too, just Rumble, and then this is the Rumble Studio app. So there's two apps for Rumble, and if you don't prefer to watch on this, if you prefer to watch, say, on a big screen, you can watch Rumble, your favorite Rumble broadcasts on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, Roku. That's a Roku right there, and LG, Samsung TV. All you need is to search Rumble on those platforms, as well as just Google Rumble. And you go to the Rumble page. Rumble is great. Thank you, Rumble, for this app. The Rumble Studio app and the regular Rumble app. It's great. I appreciate it. But remember, I encourage you to download the Rumble app, because it's a great app to have. There's a lot of people here, a lot of content here on the Rumble platform, and I'm very excited about being here. It's my new home. And it allows me to multicast to multiple places here using the Rumble Studio. And it's just a great place for a broadcaster to be at. So please give it a look. And then you can follow, when you follow me, you can get notified of me being online. That ends it. Oh, that was almost 3 minutes. I only have to do 30 seconds, but I'm excited about it. Are they back yet? No, we're still awaiting an acquisition of signal. So in that case, another thing that I use that I want to talk about. I'm on X, okay? That's a platform I'm on. I'm on X, but we all know that. Let's see, is that going to come out? Oh, I think that'll be interesting to see if that comes out. Truth Social. I also use Truth Social. I always say I'm on X, but then I'm also on Truth Social. Okay, it's on the screen there. You can see it. There it is. This is another app that I use. Big tech sometimes suppresses free speech everywhere, and it's clear that censorship campaign is going to get even worse. As far as if you say a certain thing they don't like, they're going to say, you're booted and stuff like that. So without free speech, we won't have a free society. That's why you need to dump the big tech bosses. Okay. You got to watch them, okay, and join Truth Social. I like Truth Social. I've been on the app since the get-go, and it's a good complement to X, which is doing good. But Truth Social is a good app. I like it. I use it daily. At Truth Social, you can get all your news and opinions, set up or join groups based on your hobbies and interests, and make yourself heard on any issue without being squashed by big tech censors. That's the big thing. That's the same thing of being here on Rumble. That's allowing me to show you Truth Social. So there's a QRX code. But join the network that is a leading platform for directing unfiltered access to former President Donald Trump's social media posts. If you want instant access to all of his announcements, plans, and reactions to the biggest issues of the day, and that's running for president. That's what he's doing. Truth Social is a social media platform for you. Break free of big tech suppression. Strike a blow against cancel culture and reclaim your right on America's premier free speech social media platform. Join Truth Social today. Follow me at Fireman Rich. I'm on Truth Social also at Fireman Rich. So there we have it. And I guess that's completed. I can hit complete. So let's see. I get 2 in. And let's see. Do we have acquisition back? Let's see. No, we're still waiting. I'm not sure what the general. We're going to probably end up. I got another channel here that we're going to go to, and let me see. Let me just wrap up here. As far as that one, got that one, Rumble. We've had reached the maximum number. Okay, I've reached my max on campaigns. So we did the campaigns. So we'll just see what happens. It's something new here on Rumble that you can do. You can speak out on a campaign of sorts. And like I said, I do use Rumble. This is, we're all done with it, but my own personal thing, I do use Rumble. Rumble is great. I do use True Social. True Social is a good platform. But I also use X. I use Blue Skies, Instagram Threads, Gitter, Gab, Facebook. I'm on them all and stuff like that. But there's certain situations on all those platforms where they may not like what you say and they may get canceled. Depending, it has happened. Okay, it has happened. I see that. So, but here on Rumble, they have this campaign, and I appreciate your listen to that. That seems to have fixed it. Oh, okay. So the refresh, we have, who is this? This is Rick Mayhem, 4 minutes ago. Sorry for the delay on responding to your chat there. Let's see. I told him to go ahead and he said that initially that the broadcast was 7 minutes behind on the Spacecom feed that I'm using, because right now on the SpaceX, you got Elon Musk talking, so I don't know what's going on with that. So I went to the Spacecom. We're going to probably go into the NASA spaceflight guys to see what's going on, because they have a good insight. So I've got three feeds, but it was behind a couple minutes, and I told Rick Mayhem to go ahead and refresh your browser. So you should, when you're using, I just found that if you're using Rumble and you're watching a live, and that's even on Twitch and YouTube Live and X Live. If you're watching those and it seems like you might be behind, you might want to refresh it after 10 minutes and stuff like that, and then it'll catch up. Okay, so I'm glad to see that you see that worked. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it and stuff. So let's go ahead and let's go back. We have acquisition feed. Yeah. So let's go over here to these folks over here on. We'll see what these guys have to say. These are the guys over at NSF, NASA space flight. They have nothing to do with space flight, but they are very knowledgeable. And let's go ahead and give them a listen.
As it enters the atmosphere. So hopefully they get everything working before that point. So Alex, what's going on?
So if anyone can hear a Falcon Heavy 20 kilometers out, you should be able to hear that super heavy landing burn. So
Well, there we go.
yeah, I believe you probably heard that.
Fantastic. Glad to have that confirmed.
Can we just put that quickly into context? The landing burn of this rocket is more powerful than Falcon Heavy. What?
Yeah, it's equivalent to 32 Merlin engines at full power. Elon says
I hope.
stereo camera comes online in 11 minutes. So
All
there we
right.
go. We'll have cams back.
And the next major event is at T40. So we should see some video right as things are happening.
Yeah, T plus 47 minutes and 25 seconds. That is the ship entry on SpaceX's timeline. I have here the whole thing. So that's why I'm not looking at the camera. Don't worry, I'm not, ignoring you guys out there. I gotta keep track of where we are and everything. It's complicated to remember everything.
And we have a lot of information flowing at us at the same time. So it's
I have
great.
a question for D though.
Okay.
You heard Super Heavy coming back for a landing.
You need to watch these guys. These guys are fantastic as far as this channel.
Are you going to be there for Flight 5 for the catch? Do you think
Usually,
there's going to be a catch on
when
the next one?
SpaceX not flying, they have a live camera.
I don't know.
That's
I hope
constantly
so.
watching you.
I will try to be as close as possible and have as many cameras as close as possible around the pad. Because the last two launches for me have been mediocre, I will say, camera view wise. So if I can get all my cameras close to try to capture
it's a long
landing attempt whenever that happens. I'm in.
They have a camera on the space.
I cannot wait
quickly
for
Starship.
your footage. Go ahead.
Quickly want to also acknowledge your amazing behind the scenes video. We saw that earlier, and this was probably one of the closest I ever came to tearing up on an NSF stream. So
thank you.
That was an amazing video, and I really enjoyed that. So thank you so much for that.
Back to them.
Oh, of course, I'm glad to share those moments.
Less than 30 minutes after launch, people are back on the roadblock.
On the pad. Yeah. So the cops are back on the LBJ road there. So it looks like they're getting ready to inspect the launch site post-launch. And now this is the fourth launch from here, and the third one where there was. We'll get the full damage report in a little bit, but it didn't seem to be all that much debris kicking up from our cameras when we watched things. So it looks like a lot of those early issues that they had with Starship destroying most of the surrounding area has been rectified here. So we'll be seeing people moving in pretty soon, it looks like. So if you're just tuning in, we are T plus almost 29 minutes. We do not have video imagery from Starship just yet, but we're going to be getting it back shortly. And what we should see when we get that footage back is really the primary goal of this mission, which is to test all of the re-entry systems of Starship. That includes the thermal heat tiles, looking at how the ship can maneuver on its way down and hopefully have a controlled splashdown, if you will, in the Indian Ocean. Now, we did see earlier a controlled splashdown, if you will, of the booster, which did make it back, and it looks like achieved most of what SpaceX was hoping to, which is to kind of simulate a grab of the chopsticks over at the launch site, which is ultimately what they want to do for reusing this enormous launch system. So far, one part of the mission seems to be mostly successful, definitely a step along from where they were last time, and the jury's out right now on what will happen with Starship's re-entry, which will be a much more violent maneuver here. So Dee, thank you very much for joining us out there, and hopefully you'll get a better view on the next one. It was a little foggy. Thank you so much for what you put together, kind of really what the team puts in to make these launches possible. Hopefully we can see more of those in the future. I know everybody here loved it. I'm sure everyone in the chat did too. So thank you, everybody.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I'll definitely be making lots more of those, and I'll see you next time.
All right. All right, well, hopefully the fog clears a little bit so you can see the aftermath there, and we're looking at it right here. Granted, we're pretty far zoomed out here, but everything looks intact. A little crispy on the pad there, but otherwise pretty
I think
clear.
the best testament of how well this pad fared after liftoff was that movement of the chopsticks. That I'm already calling it. They were testing the catch there. It was right around
Alex is
7
calling it.
minutes.
Close the case.
Yeah, it was around 7 minutes when they started to close. So yeah, that was at the time of the landing burn of the booster. But yeah, it seemed fine. I see the OLM is also fine as well. People came back to the roadblock less than 30 minutes after liftoff. So so far so good. Maybe they can launch really fast.
And we're about 9 minutes away from the next major milestone, which is the beginning of reentry. So there we go. And I have word from the control room that we have another special guest joining us by popular demand. So why don't we pop up that surprise guest? Oh, look, it's Das.
Oh, yes.
What do you mean surprise guest? How is it a surprise that I'm on the stream, Juan? How does that work? Surprise. Hey, I love hearing a great rocket launch. I know you already heard from D, and we heard from Starship as well. It lit up. We saw the flames at the base. We sort of saw it going. The plume is so bright, like it burned through the fog just a little bit, but we only got a few seconds of visibility. But the sound, I don't know, this is like a thing that it's a theme for rocket launches, but sometimes when your visibility is not as good because there's fog or there's clouds or whatever, that additional mass of humidity in the air transmits the sound better. So when you sort of get like you lose out on the visuals, the auditory experience is enhanced sometimes. And let me tell you about the auditory experience we had, because that was the experience we had, was the auditory experience today. But anyways, that was fantastic to hear. And we were talking up here, the NSF team that rolls out and does all of these different things. We've got people all over. We've got cameras all over. So I'm sitting here, and on the one hand, I'm a little bummed I didn't see it. I'm excited that I got to hear it because it sounded really amazing. But we had fantastic views because there were so many cameras and so much work that went into it. So I'm torn. I'm a little bummed. I'm not going to lie, right? But I'm also excited because we had a fantastic launch, and it's still going right now. Like Starship is still on its way, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah.
We are about, about 7 minutes away from the next milestone at T+40, and we hope to reacquire some signals there. And Das, I hear that our rapid turnaround on photography is still rapidly turning around, and we actually have a metal print already of Flight 4's liftoff at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. So the team is cranking away here. Even though you guys didn't get a good view, we did get views from other places that we were there. So good stuff.
That's okay. We supported, if that's the close-in view of the liftoff that Sean got from a Danger trailer, we supported that. Like, we got the trailer out there. We got the uplinks all ready to go. The power, like everything, it's all a team effort to get that stuff working. So the metal print exists because we all work together to make it exist. So I keep turning around to see if we can see the metal print, but...
Yeah, it looks great. I'm seeing it in the chat room here. I'm sure we'll get it in. There it is.
There it is.
Already available. So
nice.
That's how quick it turns around. This is why it's so important to get things like danger trailers so close to the pad, because with the fog being what it was, we couldn't get that from a distance there. So you can see the level of detail that came out of that. It is beautiful. So rapid turnaround here. I'm sure we've got more in the hopper already. So good stuff from Sean.
Definitely going to be more coming, and that's another trick. Like, one of our NSF party tricks is being able to get those shots back before you can access the camera. Like back in my day, you had to go physically to the camera and get the SD card out, and then you could look at it. And sometimes that was the next day or hours after launch or whatever. So one of the party tricks that we put a lot of resources into working on is the ability to get those shots off the camera before we can actually get to the camera. So we still have more things coming in from other shots of other cameras that were out there, and we'll share them as soon as they come in.
All right, we'll keep everybody posted on that. And Das, I am sure you are super busy out there getting everything broken down for the mission, so we can let you go. But I know the chat wanted to.
And I'm just going to different feeds, and you can see. Oh, let me see here. I gotta fix my My Rumble Studio app. Rich Roberts at Fireman Rich here on the Rumble. Let's rumble, folks. We are rumbling with the Starship this morning. You can see on the CBS feed. Let's see, how's that look? Yeah, this is a CBS feed. They're online. You can see that CBS News feed. They're in an acquisition thing, but we were listening to, and we'll go back to them, the NASA spaceflight guys, the NSF. They have a good perspective and insight there. Didn't want to camp out there totally, so I wanted to come over here to the CBS news feed, and you can see that there is an acquisition of signal right now, as we're 35 minutes coming up on 36 minutes into the flight of the super heavy Starship. And let's see if I can get this situated here, and we'll just max that out like that. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so there we're at, and I have to fix up my so we're still waiting, and we've been on for we haven't done an hour yet. We're coming up on an hour of the broadcast. We're at 58 minutes, and again, I'm Fireman Rich at Fireman Rich. Good morning, Thammer. We are we're in the broadcast. We saw the launch of the launch mission number 4 for Starship from SpaceX, and it's up there. We're not sure. We lost signal, so we're just sort of hanging out right now. You can see the mission is still going on. You can see down in the bottom there. Oh, we got acquisition here. What's this about? Okay. Let's see what this is about here. We just got a camera view back up. Let's see. Let me go to the volume here. No, we don't got nothing there. Let me check the other feeds. Do we have anything there? No, they got the music. What about the boys from
no space.
Well, I remember last time I had asked both of you if it was barbecuing,
okay,
because it was spinning last time. This is a much different
give us some
profile.
Because the other two feeds
it's holding, it's holding
Good morning,
attitude.
Thammer,
you know what? It's also
Riyadh,
holding. I was going to mention this before with Daz, but because he was talking about the cameras and everything that we have in the field, I've been told that our trailer cameras and everything are all good, in good condition after liftoff.
Survived.
So they all survived, and our connections and everything. So, hooray!
All right.
Danger trailer lives to see another launch.
That's
Exactly.
right. And there might
Much
be
more
a
resilient
very
than
short.
Japan.
There might be a short turnaround this next time, right? There seems to be. So far, it's not. Things are in good
Both
shape.
of the launch pad and of the trailer.
So with the booster touching down, I would say the booster has not triggered a mishap so far. Based on my knowledge about mishap investigations, the booster probably did not trigger a mishap so far. And they have a lot of outs on the ship. Oh, well, engine outs. Well, we'll see. But the ship has a lot of outs on mishaps where they don't trigger a mishap. And so...
If you remember the new rules...
like...
an agreement with the FAA that if, Raptor engines fail on the way down, they don't really count as a mishap if it's like within safety corridors and things like that.
But one failed doing up.
That's right.
Is that like I'm pretty sure it's not a mishap yet. I feel relatively relatively okay that this might not be a mishap yet. And the ship is now the interesting part, because if the ship fails normally during re-entry, basically through failure of heat shield, that should not trigger a mishap based on the FAA updates. So that would mean, yes, they could launch as early as they have the next stack ready, which, I mean, let's be real.
They got plenty of rockets.
3, 4, like 3, 4, 5 weeks from now. We could see another Starship, so I hope everybody in the team is ready for another good time of preparing more assets.
Right. That's right. It's going to become a very busy cadence here, and they build these rockets faster than they launch them, so they've got many more ready to go, for close to ready to go. So we're going to bring Jack in a minute, who's out in the field as well. So I think he's going to be audio only for the initial go around here. I'm not sure if Jack is with us just yet or not, but when he is, he can say hello.
Oh, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
There we are. Yes. So what was it like out there, Jack? Can you hear us?
The sound was exceptional. I will say that the sound was really delightful. We had a few isolated little holes in the clouds, so we did get to see it ascend and pitch down range. It was pretty amazing, honestly. But right now is, in a lot of ways, the most exciting part of flight. Starship is about to start re-entering the atmosphere, and the big question is, will it make it? I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see that pink plasma glow start forming around the flaps. Go ahead, Alex.
I want to point out one little thing that we're seeing here. Do you see that attitude that it has right now? It is positioning itself on a high pitch angle for that reentry. It's bonkers.
Oh, there's the animation.
That is the animation from SpaceX of what we should expect.
It's like 60 to 70 degrees inclined, right? That's about the angle of attack we are looking at.
At least, so far, a few years ago for Elon, it was like 70 degrees or something like that. So that's what we're expecting in terms of the angle of attack of the ship.
I can't wait to see if they get this far. I really want to see if they get that far, and I really hope that if they do get that far, there are some epic views from SpaceX of that maneuver, because it's been, I mean, what? How many years? 2 years? 3 years since we've seen a Starship do a flip and burn.
Man, I can't
exciting!
Wait. I'm being reminded in that channel. This is like the shuttle, also with a high angle of attack.
That's right. Well, the good news is that
subtle reminder, but yeah.
When we watched this the last time, we were seeing a lot of rotation. This is it looks as though it's entering the atmosphere very close to the way that animation just showed us. So that's a good starting point. It's always good to start with a stable profile, and it looks like that's what we have here.
There's
there we go.
The other camera.
Yeah, look at how stable it is. Like, it's just gliding, basically heat shield forward here.
Right. And that's
watch out for the altitude. You remember on
Notice in the upper right-hand corner, this view, you can see views by Starlink. These pictures are coming from the camera off of the Starship via Starlink, coming down to us here on this marble. So we watch this flyover. I wonder where that's at. You can see the city. So it's coming down low, it looks like. Let's get back. We got telemetry. We got the video, and we got some camera shots, and we got commentary. So let's continue on with the broadcast. Yeah, Fireman Rich here on Rumble. We're watching the IFT #4 flight test launch of the SpaceX Starship. Going fantastic.
And basically, the 3 center engines of the ship will reignite and gimbal or point to help flip the ship until those engines are pointing down so that it can land vertically using Raptor's thrust.
And as you can see, even from the beginning of the program, we've designed Starship to land on Mars where there are no runways or other humans to help out. We also want rapid reusability, so we're doing...
The vehicle is passing through 85 kilometers altitude. The flaps have control of the vehicle.
Great news. Flaps have control of the vehicle. That's exactly what we want to hear for this flight test.
Yeah.
Again, we are going to be doing a propulsive landing instead of a more traditional means like parachutes. And we are expecting re-entry to begin here in just about a minute. Re-entry, an awesome view that we have here.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory.
This is the same view that we had when we first returned from the coast phase. Again, this is looking at the side of one of the flaps. It's incredible that literally at the bottom of this picture, we're basically looking through plasma, which is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Wild, very wild. Now we are expecting entry to begin here in about 30 seconds or so. Entry to splashdown is expected to last about 6 minutes long. And that flip maneuver should occur around about 10 minutes before splashdown. And such incredible views that we're getting.
Approaching peak heating region.
Great call outs there.
Yeah, these views are absolutely astounding.
Nose temperatures continue to rise within expected region.
And in your bottom right-hand corner, you can also follow along with the altitude of ship as it's returning back to Earth.
So once again, this view is basically looking down into the plasma blanket that is building up around the exterior of Starship. It is traveling, as you can see on your screen. You can look in the bottom right-hand corner and see how fast it's going, how high it is, as well as the general orientation. Again, we're seeing a lot more stability, a lot more control here on this flight, which is great. It shows that the iterations, the learning...
Starship is now an expected peak
I
heating
have
region.
audio on Rumble this side, so...
All right, great news there, telling us that this is basically the hottest point that Starship should get during its re-entry. Now, the heat shield is working with the atmosphere for some like free braking, okay? The atmosphere is helping to slow the Starship down.
So that may have been the...
Yeah, exactly. We're not using any engines or thrust to slow the vehicle down. Exactly what Kate mentioned. We're just using the atmosphere and those heat shield tiles protecting the vehicle as it's coming through that high heat temperature.
Yeah. Now, this is another one of those moments that we have been waiting for. Right now, the ship is currently re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and by all looks and all call-outs that we're hearing on the net, it is doing pretty well. Now, we do not plan to recover the spacecraft today, but rapid and reliable reusability is the ultimate goal.
And just pausing to just take in this incredible new and different view that we're seeing. We did get a similar view in Flight 3, but again, the vehicle did lose a little bit of its control, attitude control, and this is a very stable view. This is great. This is exactly what we want, and we are hearing that we're getting expected call-outs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Starship is seeing half a G of acceleration, remains on a good entry trajectory.
You know, it's incredible to look at this photo and wonder, wait, is it real? Is it frozen? You know, we can see so I was just going to say
Those temperatures have stopped increasing.
Oh, that is great news. The temperature is no longer building. But I was saying, like, we have a little bit of indication there. We can see that streaking that occurs and tells us that this is indeed a true view. So once again, we are looking basically through the plasma that is building up around the exterior of the ship.
And I still cannot get over that we are getting a live view of re-entry right now, live
And
on
the
your
slide
screen.
view,
Again, we've
I
said
gotta
this over
point
and
out the
over,
fact
but
if you
all
look at
thanks to
the
Starlink,
it's via by
we are
Starlink,
able to use
the upper
Starlink
right-hand
in
corner.
space, which we're
As
getting this
far as that
incredible
goes,
data.
you can see
And
it
not only just
on the
the
right-hand corner
data
of
from the
big
sensors, but
main
getting
screen.
live imagery of what
Views
is
by
actually
Starlink.
happening, which is great, which we've never been able to do live before.
Right. Now, just a quick future outlook here. So in about, let's see, at T plus about 1 hour and 2 minutes, we should hear a call out for entry transonic. That means that the ship is going near the speed of sound. And then about a minute after that, we'll hear another call out saying entry subsonic, meaning that the ship is going below the speed of sound. So these are all continued indications that the atmosphere, right, as the ship comes back down, it is getting through the more dense part of the atmosphere, and that atmosphere is helping to push against the vehicle, and those heat shields are protecting the vehicle during this high heat period.
Yeah, Kate, Jesse, we're starting to see as the atmosphere gets denser, you're starting to see a few more particles make an appearance in the plasma there. You can see you're looking down at the aft end of the ship in the top left, and you're seeing essentially the flame buildup as we go through reentry. You've been hearing the call outs, they're tracking things like temperatures in the nose cone, and those were right where we modeled them to be, which is really cool to see and to see in real time. But we're coming up, we're at about 67 kilometers in altitude. Our last signal with the ship on flight 3 was at 65, so we should be making it past that point shortly. Obviously, as you guys pointed out, we're in a much better control this time as we re-entered in the right attitude, and our flaps have been steering the way so far. Once we get through transonic, that's when you've got essentially
Raptor landing bird.
Different areas around the vehicle where the air is either moving faster or slower than the speed of sound. We'll eventually get to subsonic, which we have some experience with. We did in our suborbital campaign.
Startup Raptor chill.
Starship will eventually get down to its terminal velocity as it's floating down to the water. That's just about 200 miles an hour or so. We are hearing that we're starting to chill some of the engines as we are, if we make it all the way down to the water, still going to attempt a landing burn, but still a ways to go. We're at about 64 kilometers in altitude right now. We made it through what's expected to be the peak heating, but now we're going to start encountering increased pressures as the atmosphere gets thicker and thicker. So we're at 63 kilometers, so we've already made it farther than we did on our last flight when that last signal was coming at 65 kilometers. So again, what we're really looking at here is the performance of the heat shield, of the flaps, of the seals in the flaps. There's just a whole bunch of different areas that we're keeping a really close eye on as we re-enter.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory.
And looking like we're still on a good trajectory. If you're seeing little camera moves, that's the flap moving as it continues to maintain the attitude of the vehicle as it re-enters. And I mean, not just camera views, but we've got sensors inside the ship. We've got those sensors down at the very aft end of the vehicle where we pointed out we had some intentionally missing tiles, where we've got some sensors looking at just how hot it's getting around there. We intentionally put those in essentially the least critical part of the heat shield, where if you had any kind of a breach, it wouldn't be great for reusability, but wouldn't be critical for actual making it through the reentry into the landing. "58 kilometers, we're continuing to descend. Again, right now we are over the Indian Ocean. We're actually getting closer and closer to that expected splashdown point, which is just to the off the northwest corner of Australia. And if you keep an eye on our speed, the speed is dropping. We're hitting the thicker part of the atmosphere now. The speed's going to start dropping precipitously. We're going to start getting to transonic pretty soon, and then after that, we'll get into subsonic, where we're moving less than the speed of sound. But wow, what a light show so far!
External temperatures are starting to come down.
Again, this camera view is looking right at one of the forward flaps. And we're strategically putting some cameras around the vehicle to just look at the different areas. Looks like we got the flap starting to come apart a little.
Yeah, it does appear that we have a little bit of burn through there. We can see pieces of the vehicle flying off. What a show it has been. It's been like watching Interstellar or something.
This is wild to see this, but the ship is still coming down.
My first impression of this is
This is incredible to see.
It looks like
How far can it go? That is the question.
Keep your eye on the altitude in the bottom right-hand corner. We're at 54 kilometers
54
right now.
Now, ultimately, the data is the payload today. We've been saying it multiple times. Our teams are sitting, reviewing this data live, learning where the hot spots are. As you can see, there's an obvious hot spot there with the flaps.
It's definitely a hot
and
spot
learning
right there,
how
folks.
we can improve this design. The goal was to
You're
get
seeing
as
it in
far
real time
through
here. This
this
is,
high
something. We're at 52
high heat
kilometers,
re-entry as
but,
possible.
we're about 35
Ideally,
miles.
we'd love to make it all the way down
here.
and perform that
Figure
landing
6
burn and flip
miles for every
maneuver.
10
But we may
kilometers.
not get that far today. We will see.
6 times 5, that's
Again, this is a
50
test,
at,
and we are gathering as much data as possible,
divided
visual data
so
as well, which
35
we can
miles.
see here. We are
35
getting a
miles
lot of
to the Earth
debris
right now.
covering the camera on your screen, but we can still see some of those sparks and flames from that high heat as ship is making its way back down to Earth.
Ship now at 50 kilometers and closing. The good news is we still got, looks like that camera lens just cracked. It's safe to say ship's getting a little beat up, but that's to be expected on a test flight. We are still learning how to improve the ship for total survival and recovery of the high heat reentry.
I'm honestly impressed that we're still getting this live view despite how much debris is coming off of this flap right now.
The fact that we've got it is good news. And I may have jinxed it. I apologize. Look at that. It's back.
We are still going.
And the teams here at SpaceX are excited, as you can tell by the cheering behind us. There's still a sizable crowd here at Mission Control Center Hawthorne.
A splashdown is expected in just about 4 minutes from now. And we're still moving. We still have live views. Starlink is doing an incredible
approaching
job.
maximum entry dynamic pressure. External temperatures are dropping.
Okay, good news. Those external pressures are dropping. The question is, how much the ship is left? We can't really tell. We can still see some of that particulate coming off. And unfortunately, we do have a cracked camera lens. But for any photographers out there and videographers, we know that's part of the gig sometimes.
Yeah, and you can see that the speed is rapidly slowing down. That's actually really great news for us. We want the vehicle to be slowing down before it splashes down into the ocean. That'll help set us up for that flip maneuver, engines first down into the water.
Okay,
Exactly.
coming up
So
on
we have seen this flip
42,
maneuver demonstrated
so,
on previous high altitude flight tests.
you
like
got 4 times 6,
serial number 8. More views.
24 miles. It's
Or
24
I should
miles
say
above the
more
Earth
light
right now.
coming through the view that we have through that cracked
that
and
equals to
dirty
24
lens
miles,
there.
folks.
But
You
yeah,
just
so we're
figure every
hoping
10
that
kilometers
this
is
flip maneuver,
6
we can
miles.
pull it
We
off.
lost acquisition.
As soon as we get those views back, if we can get them, if the ship is still around, we will bring
Vehicle
it back
has
to you.
passed maximum dynamic pressure.
That is great news. Maximum dynamic pressure being the moment in which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of aerodynamic pressure. Speed still dropping. We're now at 37 kilometers above the ocean. Just like Flight 3, we are targeting a splashdown in the water in the Indian Ocean.
And we don't have a live view right now, but because we're still getting data and telemetry, that does tell us that ship is still doing okay, at least. And there we got that live view back. The crowd very excited to see that view, despite not being able to see very much.
The fact that it's there tells us the ship is still alive.
Yes, and collecting data, continuing to collect data as we get closer and closer to Earth.
Yes, now 30
You have to understand that the last previous
Indian
mission that made it to the Indian Ocean, we didn't even get this type. So again, as much as this may look like a failure, this is a lot of data that SpaceX is going to be able to garnish and study from as far as for future to improve, because this mission by far is very successful.
I thought maybe it might clear up. It is a little bit
Starship launch.
Now at T+1 hour.
So this is
3 minutes
I'm having fun
and 13
watching this. I hope all the viewers are watching
Starship Flight
here
4,
currently on Rumble, locals,
hoping
YouTube
that
Live,
the ship can hang
Twitch,
on. It's probably
X Live, and we're
potentially
also
hanging
on
on by
Instagram.
a couple of bolts and
I'm
threads.
enjoying this, and I'm
but
glad
it's
to be
still
presenting
going,
this.
and that is excellent news.
That deceleration is looking incredible. We're about to go under 1,000 kilometers per hour.
Okay, 20 kilometers.
Starship is at 20 kilometers altitude.
Miles above the Earth right now.
Now keep in mind that even though we can't
is,
see
6
anything,
miles,
the data itself is what we
10 kilometers is 6 miles. So it's coming up. It's
subsonic. They're telling us it's traveling
9
below
miles.
the speed of sound.
9 miles now. 10 kilometers will be 6 miles above.
That movement means the flaps are actuating. I think we can see something. This is a nail biter. But we are, unfortunately, we can't see through the lens, but we're still getting the feed.
Really coming down.
Starship is now 11 kilometers over the ocean. All this data is incredibly important.
So
even if, it breaks up right now. Okay, we can see that flap actuating through the glass.
Starship is passing through 10 kilometers altitude.
Okay, the next milestone will be initiation of the flip maneuver and landing burn. Keep an eye on the bottom right corner of your screen for those 3 center engines to relight. They will gimbal or angle so that the ship flips itself back up vertical and hopefully lands in a vertical position.
And the crowd is very excited to get this view of that flap still maneuvering.
Starship is passing through 5 kilometers altitude.
This is incredible. We're getting very close to splashdown.
These fireflies are such a good sign of life right now. We wish we could see more, but we'll take it.
Starship is at 2 kilometers altitude, terminal velocity.
Landing beam started for Starship.
All right, good news there.
Landing burn startup.
Starship is in landing burn.
Landing burn shipping.
The landing burn shutdown was commanded. Wow. I mean, it was a little bit of use your imagination as you were going down with what we could actually see, but we were able to hear the ship did its landing burn. It sounded like we might have got 2 engines. And there's the final call for landing burn shutdown, but we'll go back through all the data, but we did get confirmation that a landing burn took place. Starship made it through re-entry and did its first ever landing burn. from South Texas to the other side of the earth.
That's
Starship
Elon
was
Musk
in the
that was
water.
right to the right on that last photograph there. So he was right there in the control center.
What a day, guys! Yeah,
to the SpaceX
that
team.
was absolutely incredible. We we got views pretty much the whole way down. Analysis said it could do it. We weren't sure if it was going to be able to happen, but Starlink powered through, and we were able to get signal. We started to get some debris on the cameras and everything, but we were able to see it. So, I mean, what a day! Just recapping, everything started off today. We lifted off from here in Starbase just about an hour ago. It feels like a lifetime. Successful super heavy ascent, boost back, and its own splashdown in the Gulf. Ship made it to space, kept its attitude. Successful re-entry through peak heating. We got to see it under flap control through the atmosphere, and we got call out of our first ever ship landing burn after launch into space. So, just really incredible. So I'm going to take some time to collect myself, but wow, that was incredible. I can't wait for the next one. Over to you guys.
It was so loud here. I haven't heard the crowd get that loud probably since liftoff of Flight 1, honestly.
That was incredible. Congratulations to our teammates, to everyone who supported the Starship program. Thanks to all of our future customers for your support. And we'd also like to thank the people of Cameron County, Texas, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the government of Mexico. And since Starship got a little bit toasty from that extreme heat of reentry, and we've got our very own Starship right here, let's have a toast of our own.
I've been waiting all morning for this.
Okay, may I?
Light me up. Yeah.
I'm sorry, by the way, for the
26 and then Starship. It's like,
right.
We are officially in tears territory because the return to the moon for humans was never closer than this.
Yes,
it's
and I think
mind-blowing,
that's an important point to make, because NASA's future and is really dependent on this system working, not only for the lander, but just the fact that just to get the fuel up to that lander requires this system to do what you just saw, minus the burning through the fin part. So this is a major milestone. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say, part of these. I'm trying not to tear up, but it's just also the emotion.
Okay, we're at well, the mission is over with. The mission is over with, and this commentary afterwards. So, but even though we had a little burn up at the end there, that was interesting. We did not see that on the last launch, mission number 3. This is mission number 4. So they've got a lot of information and data to go through, and I just found that very interesting as far as just the acquisitions that they were able to acquire. It's obvious the re-entry did affect the camera, and as far as that goes, and I don't know what else to say other than it was a great last hour and a half there to watch this mission of SpaceX mission number 4 flight test. And that's what they have to do to get this. This is a whole lot. You compare to the very first launch, the first 2 launches were horrendous, but they each one was better than the next. So, and that was the case when you look at SpaceX's Dragon rocket. They had multiple mistakes and crashes and stuff like that until they was trustworthy enough to put humans on it. And I think this is such a case that we're seeing that same workflow being done by SpaceX and the SpaceX team. So my hat's off to them. This has been very exciting. Like I said, I'm a space junkie as far as that goes, and I really enjoyed doing that here on the Rumble. And let me see some Oh, I gotta do this. Okay, on the Rumble. That's what we're on. We're on Rumble right now, and we're broadcasting to. We're broadcasting on Rumble. We're broadcasting on Locals, YouTube Live, Twitch, Facebook, and we are still broadcasting on. Even though it won't be saved, but we're able to broadcast on Instagram. So we're on 7 platforms, so that's a big success. I want to try something here, see if this works. Let's see, because I'm going through the selections here, seeing that I have the Rumble. I think I did it already. Okay, let's see if we can do this one. Okay, it says I can't do anything. We've reached the maximum number. I think I'm only allowed 1 campaign, so that's good. We got 1 in for True Social. But Rumble, I want to say Rumble. It has nothing, no affiliation with the Rumble campaign. So we're Rumble campaign markets or commercial. Just me, myself as a broadcaster. Rumble rocks because it's allowing me to broadcast on a total of 7 platforms for nothing. I really appreciate Rumble. It's fun doing this. This is the ultimate fun of a broadcaster, is to do a broadcast like this, to bring, or else I'm just sitting here alone watching on the TV. I'm sharing my excitement with you all, and we've had as much as a max of total of 20. Right now, we currently have 13 people on Rumble. Thank you very much for the folks on Rumble. I want to say thank you for the comments there from Lectrek Mayhem. Who commented. We had a little problem with the browser, but he refreshed and it worked, and that's good to hear. It works for me. And then the audio went a little bit, but I think that was when I was bouncing from channel to channel, because they had three feeds up here coming in, and so I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you for who else was in the. We had Big Juice coming in on Twitch, and we had Thammer coming in on Twitch. Both of those are regular viewers on my Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning coffee. Anywhere from 5:30, 6 o'clock, more like 6 o'clock. But this is this type of broadcast, like yesterday's broadcast with a Boeing Starliner, is an impromptu where if it's a space shot and I'm within the 30-minute before launch, I will probably broadcast it here on Rumble. And so I'm really enjoying this. And let's see, we're at 1 hour and 36 minutes. Let me see. Let's do this right here. Coming up on time. Yeah, 1 hour, 36, 37. And what that is, that's my screenshot for the cover art for the broadcast here. I still do that. But Rumble is great. Rumble, thank you very much. Rumble Studio, fantastic. Was able to bring this into the other platforms that I'm on. And different people are on different platforms. So Rumble provides and this is my own opinion. Rumble provides me an opportunity to share this with the people that are on multiple platforms and stuff like that. I used to be just on Twitch, and I think this is just fantastic to be able to broadcast something like this that I really am a fan of since I was a little kid, since that first spaceship I seen take off at Cape Canaveral, the Mercury Redstone launch of Alan Shepard, and I'll never look back. I've always been a fan of the space ventures, see them here, over in Europe, and even China. China, I guess they've landed on the moon, on the dark side of the moon, and on the lander, and they're looking at like bringing back some samples from the dark side of the moon, which will be interesting. It'll be interesting if they share it with the rest of the world. But okay, folks, this is Rich Roberts, Fireman Rich here on Rumble, as well as at Fireman Rich on Twitch, and at Fireman Rich on Twitter, which is now X, at Fireman Rich on X, at Fireman Rich on Truth Social, Blue Skies, Instagram, and on the real, the public Facebook, it's The Real Fireman Rich. So you all have a great one wherever you may be. We're going to exit stage left and have an enjoyable hashtag Wannabe Friday this Thursday, June 6, 2024. Enjoy, folks.